There it is. That's the beginning, folks. That's how it all starts here on the portal. Hopefully you guys are doing great. Thank you so much for joining me on this Wednesday. My name is Brent Thomas, and you are now in the Paranormal Portal. So hope it's going good. Hope your week has been going good. Hello, Edith Gomez. Hello from Texas. Hello to you. Howdy, as it were. Sorry. Howdy. Kitty Cattywax here. Josh Casto is here. Good to see you. Blue Line Bigfoot Jake is up in here. Rachel gets it right. Sinfully Wicked popped in. Good to see you. All of you guys. Thank you so much for being here. We've got who else? Phil was the first one in the door tonight. And I guess that's about who's here so far. We're just right. Oh, E.S. E.S. is a new name for me. Great to see you. Thanks for coming in and being a part of the show. I don't know if it's a new name per se or if it's just a rebrand, but in any case, glad you're here. Maggie remembered. God bless you, Maggie. I appreciate that a ton. Very good to see you all. Just looking. Oh, I better scroll. It's getting crazy in here already. Deborah Neighbors popped in. Good to see you, Deborah. Maggie, of course. I think I said Maggie, but I said her. Oh, yeah, obviously. I just gave you a round of applause. Derp. I'll wake up here at some point. Sorry. It's been a little bit of a day. Always been here, Brent. Just quiet. Well, wonderful. I'm glad you decided to speak up. It's nice to be able to acknowledge you in person. Thank you so much. Whether you're a long-time supporter or brand new, it's always cool, but especially long-time supporters. Those are a personal favorite of mine, so actually perfect. It's nice to get a chance to say hello to you, so thanks for speaking up and chatting. Of course, it's not a requirement to anybody to chat. Hey, Amanda's Crazy Life channel popped in. That's cool. I hope your crazy life is going wonderful, Amanda. Thank you for popping in and checking out the show. Hopefully you love it and you just can't live without it. And you'll just feel compelled to just click that subscribe. It's just going to happen. It's a crazy thing. or I'm just trying to program you, one of the two. But in any case, hope you enjoy it. Always good to see new names popping up. We've been at this for, God, it's 2017. What does that make this? 9 years almost? Oh, well, yeah, almost. I guess 8 years, but going on 9 that we've been doing this. It's crazy how much time has gone by, and I've loved every minute of it. Well, even back when I started, when I got like the first 10 subscribers, I was blown away. I was like, oh my God, 10 people are tuning in. This is so cool. And of course, we got a lot more than that. Although I got to say, I'm always happy to have more than that as well. Phil Funk remembered. You remembered, Phil. Thank you. I appreciate it. What have we got going on? Karen Alberting came in. Good to see you. I got Big D over there on Rumble. Good to see you. And hello to everybody over on, if anybody's over on Twitch, I don't know. That's kind of it's a continuing effort on my part to broadcast to Twitch. Although not many people pay attention over there, but it's really a different format on Twitch. I enjoy Twitch. I do watch some streams over there when I can, but it's not the same kind of format. So there's that. But hello to anyone over on Rumble and on YouTube who is not talking. Hello to anybody on Facebook and X. That's where we're streaming live right now. So there's a lot going on. But that's the way we love it. So what does that say? Sweet new show. Oh, hello, friend. Your name is hello, friend. That's cute. Hello to you and welcome to the show. Another new name. That's perfect. So we get a lot going on tonight. We are going to, of course, get to the news where we're going to discuss news stuff from an incredible website called unexplained-mysteries.com. They are hands down the greatest news site I've ever found. Especially, well, not only especially, but they do cover the weird stuff that we love, the paranormal stuff, the bizarre stuff. But they also cover everything else, too. So it's really an incredible resource. So if you haven't checked it out, please do. But we'll get into that in a minute. We're going to get into some other stuff. As always, these shows are not scripted. It's wherever we go, we go. And tonight, you guys are my co-hosts. So if you have questions or you have things you want to talk about, just put it all in capitals, just like Amanda just did. She said, thanks, Paranormal Portal. No, thank you. You are here blessing us with your presence, and I appreciate it. And definitely check out Amanda's Crazy Life channel as well. I'm not sure. What kind of stuff do you cover, Amanda? I seem to feel like I know your channel, but I can't think of what you cover. I don't know. I'm sorry that I can't say, oh, go over and check out Amanda's show. She does this, but feel free to promote it in the chat, Amanda. I'd love for you to get some mileage from some of our listeners, if that helps you. Neil Alberting's in here. Good to see you, buddy. Great to see you. And I guess Jason Finch came in and Elaine Clifford. So good to see you guys. As you're all coming in, Henry Dong's here. So what can I say? I guess it's going to be time hiking with family and animals. That's it. Yeah, that's it. I remember looking at your channel. That's what it was. Yeah. It sounds like a clever save, but honestly, I do remember seeing your channel because I think you've popped up on did you pop up on my comments or what? I don't know. But anyway, yeah, check out her channel, folks. Support what Amanda's doing as well. I tried to renew my membership, but my phone won't allow it. Well, need a new phone, Jason. If it's blocking your membership to the portal, no, that's fine. Just do whatever you got to do, brother. If you can be a member, of course, we'd certainly appreciate it. It's never expected. Again, there's lots of ways to support what we're doing here that don't have anything to do with money. You can like the streams if you're watching when they're not live. You comment. You can certainly share the streams. All of that goes a long way, and it doesn't cost you anything. But it's good to see you, Jason. Appreciate you coming in. That wasn't just directed at you, Jason, but that was just for anybody that's interested in helping the show. I appreciate all your help. Of course, we have a Patreon as well. Rachel gets it right. Oh, there you go. She put a link for Amanda's channel, so you can go check it out. Not now, though. Do it after the show. Don't leave. We need you. I don't want you guys to bail on me yet. Stick here, but yeah, there's the link. Comment after the show. Feed the hungry algorithms. Amen, Maggie. Sorry, the snapping plastic bottle, of course. It's kind of a show regular. But we're going to get to the news in just moments here. So I guess that's kind of everything up front. I can't think of anything else, and certainly nothing clever. I love listening to Paranormal Portal podcast with Brent Thomas and Sheldon Thomas. Well, actually, the podcast is a different show entirely, Jason. These are just the live shows. But the podcast is interview-based where I talk to people. But that's available on all the platforms. And I hope you guys listen to that as well. These are two pretty different shows, although I do sometimes take YouTube shows that I've done interviews and port them over to the podcast, but it's very different shows. Well, there's Sheldon Thomas. How you doing, buddy? If you want to join me, Sheldon, you just let me know. I will do my best to keep an eye on it. But I can send you a link in just a heartbeat if that's where you're going. Or if you're busy. I don't know. I've been sick all day, so not joining in for co-hosting, but I'll be here. Okay. Fair enough. I'm sorry you've been sick, buddy. I hope you're feeling better soon. I hope the rest helped you out. All right. Here we go. No worries, Jason. Don't worry about apologizing. That's fine. It just gives me another opportunity to tell people that may not be familiar with that. So it worked out good. My memory's bad. So is mine. So is mine. I might be in dementia. I'm not sure. Who are you? Why are you all here looking at me? Dementia joke. Sorry. I know dementia is not a laughing matter. My grandmother had dementia, and it was a very painful thing to see. But anyway, so I'm not trying to make a stupid, sick joke about that. But spank the hearts on the right side of this chat. It helps. God bless you. See, Amanda's already a big part of the team. Thank you. All right. Hey, Smoking Guns is here too. Good to see you, brother. Smoking Guns does some great metalwork. In fact, this metalwork right there on my wall was done with Smoking Guns, Fab Shop, and Chucky Danger. That is a D-hole print, and it says Paranormal Portal. It's all laser engraved in the middle. It's really cool. So why am I here? Good. I'm glad you appreciated that, Maggie. As if I was going full-blown dementia or stroking out here or something. But anyway, Hello, friend. I saw something interesting in the sky. Took a video of it. My neighbor was my witness and was blown away too. I even walked over to his truck and set phone on the bed to steady the phone cam. Oh, interesting. Well, if you have interesting things that you'd want to share with the audience or on a future show, please just email it to me if you're interested. You can email at any time to me at paranormalportalradio@gmail.com, and that's my email for the show. So otherwise, check out paranormalportal.net, and that'll tell you all about the shows, and as much as I could cram into a web page. Sorry, quick cough. All right, so without further delay, folks, let's get to the news and bring you all up to speed and educate you as much as I know how, or at least entertain you. I'm not sure which will be first or which will end up happening, but anyway, let's get to the news. There was apparently a ghost here for a second. This down on the screen right there, that green box, that's a ghost radar that I run here all the time in the studio. And I'm not suggesting that whatever blips or happens on there is for sure paranormal, but it is interesting because it can detect EM anomalies through the magnetometer, which is how wireless works. But magnetometers can detect electromagnetic anomalies. So is it electromagnetic anomaly mean a ghost? Maybe. Maybe not. Probably not, but maybe. But anyway, it's been a good conversation piece here on the show. So if that goes off, that's the hissing noise you heard. I gotta use my other hand. This thing. It will hiss if it's apparently a very potent presence or EM disturbance. So does that mean a powerful spirit or not? Hell, I don't know. But anyway, yeah, I do too, Amanda. I think they're fun. And they can certainly be an indicator of a spiritual presence, but I would never just trust an app. Like, that's it. You got to use other modalities too to be more convinced, or at least to be more sure of what you're detecting. But anyway, it's one modality, and it might mean a paranormal presence. So just to bring you up to speed, if you're new to the show, now you know. All right, well, let's get to the news and find out just what the hell's going on in the world, because usually I don't even know. But I pull up some headlines that I think will be interesting to talk about. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for the news. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Paranormal Portal News Desk. I'll be your anchor, Brent Thomas, as always. And we're going to be getting into some news articles that I hope are entertaining, or at least fun or interesting, or all the above, or something. I hope it's not a waste of your time, is what I'm trying to say. And we utilize we utilize a lot of different sites on this show. And these are incredible sites. And I always say this at the lead-in for every show, that I really can't impress upon you enough that it's important you guys support these sites. You go look at them. You go check them out, because if you're into the paranormal and you're here, so I assume you must be, or you're just a troll waiting to get pissed about something. But anyway, if you're into the paranormal, you're going to like these sites. They all have an incredible amount of information. They're all very well done. And I just want to encourage you guys to visit them, because your traffic does keep the lights on. So please visit them, check them out. They have so much more than I could ever cover on this show. So, but we do touch a few of them. So let's get to the first news articles. Yeah, I don't even have the right browser pulled up. Way to go. And we're going to do that right now. The first article, and all of the news articles, are coming from an amazing site. Again, this is called unexplained-mysteries.com. Please check them out. Please support them. It's an exceptional site. All right, here it is. Yeah, I saw this. There's anytime you see photos of anything paranormal, you got to start with skepticism, because it's the fact that people experience the paranormal at all is exceptionally rare. Maybe less for some than others, but generally speaking, people aren't seeing ghosts every day. They're not seeing UFOs every day. They don't bump into Bigfoot every day. It's just it may never happen, in 5 lifetimes, but when it happens, it's pretty incredible. But for all of the visual evidence that people put out there, you got to start with, that's probably not real. And I know I'm not real popular for that opinion, but I think in this realm, there's way too many confirmation bias, way too much confirmation bias in the paranormal, where it's a picture of a ghost orb. Oh, for sure it is. Oh, obviously, you're surrounded by loved ones. I see the lights everywhere, and turns out it's just misting and they used a flash or something. Just any kind of, you got to look to the mundane. You got to try to debunk things. And then after that, if it still holds water, then maybe you're really looking at something exceptional. And that's awesome. But again, I always start with skeptic and work my way forward. Thank you, Hardwick Big D. Coming in remembering. Thank you. All right, so what we're talking about today is from unexplained-mysteries.com. And this one I did see doing the rounds, and I did see the debunk right away. So it was really great. I didn't have to dig into it at all myself. But here it is. 1,000-foot UFO photo shown at UAP hearing has already been debunked. So they showed it at a UAP hearing. I'm betting that's the congressional hearing, which is not a good start for the home team. When you're trying to impress on the need to fund and research and to bring disclosure, you got to bring your A game. And this obviously wasn't that. So let's see what's going on here. It says at a recent congressional hearing, Luis Elizondo, this is the second photo that I know of that he's presented that has absolutely been debunked. The other one was this weird craft in the sky, and it turns out it was a reflection in the window of the light chandelier behind him. But anyway, presented a photograph of an alleged 1,000-foot UFO. Last week, Understanding UAP hearing, which featured talks by several prominent scientists, UFO researchers, and intelligent community personnel. It actually says intelligence, not intelligent. Sorry. Was aimed at briefing members of Congress about the UFO phenomena and its implications. During the event, Luis Elizondo, who was once a director of the Pentagon's Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, or ATIP, presented a photograph showing that what he alleged to be a huge UFO measuring some 1,000 feet across that had been captured on camera by a commercial airline pilot. It had been reportedly snapped from an altitude of around 21,000 feet over the Four Corners landmark, which joins parts of New Mexico, Arizona, Utah, and Colorado. Drink for effect. Captured near Four Corners at FL20, I don't know what that means, estimated 600 to 1,000 foot in diameter, silver-hued, disc-shaped, the UAP Disclosure Fund wrote in a post on Twitter X. While at a glance the image looks quite convincing, it didn't take internet sleuths long to determine that the photograph doesn't actually show a large hovering disk at all. Instead, the disk and its shadow are in fact two circular fields situated next to one another. You can even find the exact spots on Google Maps here. I'll put the link into the chat so you guys can look this up for yourself. The original image would have been taken from a different altitude angle, but this is the same location. After news of the debunk reached Elizondo, he was quick to argue in a post on Twitter X that he hadn't made a mistake. He was quick to argue that he hadn't made a mistake, but also argued that the image hadn't been vetted before he revealed it. Well, that's a mistake, Lewis. That's what a mistake means. I didn't do a mistake. But you showed it. That's the mistake, without vetting it. The purpose of me showing the photo was to illustrate the need for civilian and commercial pilots to have a central reporting mechanism to report potential anomalous sightings, he wrote. Yeah, but you do it with real photos, not just throwing crap out there. In this case, the pilot who took the photo using his own camera did not have a way to report what he believed was anomalous. You can see a Google Maps image of approximately the same location angle as the UFO photo below. So there it is. There's the actual photo. It may be a different angle, but still same thing. Oh, jeez. That's so disappointing. That is so disappointing. Hey, Nathan from the Quantum Show. Good to see you. Thanks for coming in, brother. Oh, Phil Funk. What do aliens like to eat? Unidentified frying objects. You get a rim shot for that. Yeah, there it is. There's the actual photo. This is what was presented at the UAP hearings by Mr. Elizondo. Unfortunately, Lewis has got to vet this stuff before he puts it out there, because it makes the whole movement look stupid. It really does. That doesn't help move the needle at all. So that's incredibly unfortunate. I'm sorry to see that he did that. Let me just get that off the screen. We don't need the extra camera slot because no one's using it. All right, well, let's go to the next article, because let me put the link to that one into the chats for you guys so that you can look at the Google Earth coordinates yourself if you so choose. All right, it's in the chats. So feel free. Hi, Poncho Zorch, you've been lurking. That's okay. Lurking is legal. Perfectly good dot matrix image. What do you mean? Lou is still on protocol with that. Yeah. I think his protocol needs to be adapted for actually confirming the sighting and looking into that. I have a hard time believing a pilot went, oh, yeah, that's definitely a UFO. Maybe the angle was just right and it just jumped out. Who knows? There you go. First article. What fun. What fun. But no, that's frustrating. That is frustrating, because here he was in the spotlight. He was showcasing this moment where he could have helped move the needle, and he threw a turd out there. That's disappointing. Now, I will say he can't really defend it. He shouldn't defend it, because he put it out there, and he knew, or at least he knew, that he didn't vet it. He didn't vet it at all. He just took it and went, oh, well, I'll show this at the conference. Whereas he should have done some background, looked into it, due diligence. I mean, if you're going to present something as evidence, it's got to be evidence. And if it falls on its face like that, it really hinders and hurts the community. So, I don't know. Anyway, those are my feelings. You have to let me know what you guys think. I don't know. Anyway, if somebody's got a different take than that, please feel free. I don't pretend to be the arbiter of good decision making. I mean, Jesus. Yeah. I mean, we've all got our issues, but I think if you're going to put evidence out there, just make it evidence. Sorry. I'm a little dry. It's very polleny up here. There's like, I went out to my car yesterday. I don't go many places, honestly. I'm kind of a hermit in a lot of ways, but I went out to my car and it was like there was this yellow dust all over it, and that's pollen. That's why I sound like a frog most of the time. Anyway, let's go to the next one. This is another article from unexplained-mysteries.com from the, let me look at how long this one. No, it's perfect length. This one is unexplained-mysteries.com, and this is from the Space and Astronomy Files. And I think you're going to like this one. If it ain't Pluto, maybe there's something else. Let's check it out. New evidence of elusive Planet 9 discovered by astronomers. Or is it 10? Depends on how you feel about Pluto. Pluto's still a planet to me, regardless. Science or no science, it's been a planet my whole life, and then suddenly they changed their mind, and it's still a planet in my world. So, might be Planet 10. But anyway, let's check it out. Tantalizing new evidence of this mysterious world has been found courtesy of 2 deep infrared surveys. Cool. Another planet. Why not? Is this Nibiru? Could it be? Could it be Nibiru? I don't know. Nobody knows exactly where it is, how big it is, or even if it exists at all, but when researchers at the California Institute of Technology revealed in 2016 that the existence of a ninth planet in our solar system was a very real possibility, the hunt for this enigmatic new world began in earnest. Believed to be up to 10 times the mass of the Earth, and with an orbital period of up to 20,000 years. Does that sound... I don't remember what they said Nibiru's was. It's like thousands of years, though, isn't it? Anyway, if it exists, it'll be situated somewhere beyond the orbit of Neptune. Finding it, however, is like looking for a tiny fraction of a needle in a very big haystack. Now, though, a new study headed up by astronomer Terry Long Fan of the National Tsinghua University in Taiwan has identified what could be the strongest evidence yet of its existence. The findings concern 2 infrared surveys, one by the Infrared Astronomy Satellite, IRAS, in 1983, and another by the Japanese space agency Akari spacecraft in 2006. Fan's team had been looking for objects that had changed position between the 2 surveys and ultimately spotted one particular object that seemed to have moved in the intervening time by an amount consistent with predictions about a potential orbit of Planet 9. While the finding is not enough on its own to extrapolate the object's full orbit, it does offer a tantalizing glimpse at what could actually be a whole new undiscovered planet in our solar system. Once we know the position of the candidate, a longer exposure with the current large optical telescopes can detect it, Fan told Space.com. If this object really is Planet 9, then it would really need to be more massive than Neptune. Ultimately, without further data, it's currently impossible to know for sure if it really is the elusive undiscovered planet or not. May not be, maybe. I don't know. How do you guys feel about that? Amanda says, in Chico, California, it's hell right now with the pollen. It's been windy all week. It doesn't help. Yeah, that'll drive it right up into your sinuses. Yikes. That's not good. No, it's been windy here too. So, hello, Lake Diamond. Lake Diamond. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Like a diamond. Shine bright like a diamond. Sorry. I'm an idiot. That's right. I got the microphone. You get to deal with all my stupidity. Excuse me. All right. But that's the second article, and there's always more because, well, hell. Oh, there you go. You like the joke. Good. Sorry. It just came to me. Little Rihanna. All right. Let's go to this one. This one is, I think everybody's heard about. There was one guy that was like zapped by lightning the record amount of times. And he was in the Guinness Book of World Records and stuff. And I don't know. That's probably an unfortunate record to hold because I imagine that hurts like hell every time it happens. The fact that it didn't kill him one of those many times is amazing. But I think this might be just as bad, if not worse. This record. Let's check it out. I don't know. I don't even know it's the record, but it's the most I've ever heard of. But here we go. Let's go to this from unexplained-mysteries.com. Man bitten by snakes 200 times helps to create unparalleled antivenom. How the hell did he get bit 200 times? If he handles snakes, he's not real good at it. But maybe it was intentional. Maybe he did it to develop antibodies for it. I don't know. Tim Freed has not only been bitten by snakes 200 times, but has also been injected with venom over 700 times. Oh my God. Being bitten by a snake can prove incredibly serious, as evidenced by the 140,000 deaths a year caused by snake bites and the countless other victims who have ended up with permanent disabilities. While hoping to build up an immunity to snake bites while handling serpents, Tim Fried, I don't know how to say this for sure, but Fried, I think. A former truck mechanic began allowing himself to be bitten on purpose. On purpose. I used to have snakes. I've had several, but none of them were venomous. But I'd been bitten by pretty much every one of them. And thank God none of them were venomous, because, I'm talking about constrictors. I've had boa constrictor, a California king snake, and an albino corn snake. And I think maybe the albino never bit me, but the boa bit me a bunch of times, just because she was a crabby thing. And the king snake bit me a couple times just because I freaked him out. I grabbed him too fast. But in all of those cases, I didn't enjoy it at all. But if it's a venomous snake, wow. It says initially making the almost fatal error of being bitten twice by a cobra in quick succession, a mistake that left him in a coma, he quickly learned how to endure bites without suffering ill effects. Well, how do you not? I mean, what? That's crazy. Now, 18 years on, he's been bitten by snakes over 200 times, as also injected himself with more than 700 doses of venom prepared from the poison of various different snakes. Incredibly, this has all meant that he now has a rather unique tolerance to snake bites. While Dr. Jacob Glanville, a chief executive of biotech company Centivax, heard about this, he was keen to have Fried come in and help his team develop a new type of antivenom. Immediately, I was like, if anybody in the world has developed these broadly neutralizing antibodies, it's going to be him. And so I reached out, he said. The first call, I was like, this might be awkward, but I'd love to get my hands on some of your blood. Did he say it like this? I would like some of your blood. The resulting
discovery.
The ghost box says discovery. Now that's a discovery of antibodies, venom, or did you discover I do a really crappy vampire? All right, well, whatever the discovery is, thank you for participating. The resulting antivenom reportedly offers unparalleled protection against a wide range of snake bites and could go on to save countless lives. Fried had even built up protection against the venom of snakes, for which there is currently no standard antivenom treatment. Tim's antibodies are really quite extraordinary. He taught his immune system to get this very, very broad recognition, said Professor Peter Kwong of Columbia University. Oh, man. I mean, he did it on purpose, too. Oof. Well, I mean, God bless him. I guess he took one for the team. I guess we could say that, right? He took one for the team. Paranormal Portal, you have to start out at very small doses, and your body develops antibodies to combat it more and more as time goes on. Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure that's how it's done. I just don't like anything entering my body in areas that aren't my mouth. And even then, I'm really particular. So, yikes, that's crazy. I don't want to ever be bitten by a snake, even if it builds up my tolerance. Yeah, I mean, Maggie says, I've been bitten 4 times by redback spiders. Maybe I'll be spider klutz. I'm allergic to bees and they happen to love me. It sucks, Amanda says. Okay. Yeah, that's not good. I guess, it's great that he did it because they're developing cures or protections for those people accidentally bitten by them. But, geez, that would be a rough one. That would definitely be a rough one. 700 times he injected himself. And that's on top of the 200 times he was bitten.
Pasta.
Boy, you're talking tonight. It says pasta. What the hell is pasta? Sometimes it just spits out the most random words. Keep trying. It just doesn't really make sense. Pasta doesn't fit in this equation very well. But keep trying. Maybe spit out a word that makes sense. We appreciate it. All right, we're going to do one more, and then we're going to be, a bee stung me below the eye. Ouch. That's a very sensitive place to get stung. I was mowing my yard once. back in Minnesota, and I was wearing a pretty loose-fitting T-shirt. It was a hot summer day, and I went out and was mowing, and somehow or another, a big wasp ended up in my armpit. And I didn't know it was there, and so I was mowing, and I put my arms down, and that wasp let me know it was there. I got stung like 8 times in my armpit. And I'm telling you, that's a fresh kind of hell. I was dancing around like crazy trying to get that damn thing out of my armpit. It did come out eventually and quit stinging me, but that was the most agonizing stings I've ever had. Something about the armpit, that sucked. Under the eyes got to suck a lot, though, too. What's God's favorite creation because they're easy to make? What is? Venom noodle, dangerous snake. Oh, is that a pasta thing? Yeah, maybe that's where the pasta comes from. Talking about snakes, they look like pasta. Well, maybe. I guess, many cultures eat them, so I don't think I've never had snake. I've had gator. That was interesting. I actually enjoyed gator tail. That was pretty tasty. They're like fried nuggets, so I don't know if that really counts or not, but it was pretty good food. It took years to stop tingling there. Wow. Do you know there was this one woman, and I just heard this story, and I don't remember where I even heard it from, but this is a fascinating. Speaking of getting stung, so there was this professor, and she had this debilitating condition, and I don't remember what the condition was, but she had children, raised her children, and as time went on, she was just in worse and worse shape. And so her children were grown and moved out and stuff, and she decided, I think this was in Canada or maybe in the U.S., I don't know where. But anyway, she decided that she was suffering an excruciating amount of pain every day just waking up and being a part of the world. And the internet calls snakes danger noodles. Well, I guess that makes sense then, yeah. But she had decided she was gonna find someone to help her unalive, professionally, in a very, very methodical manner, not just she was going to do it that way. So she got this coach or this assistant, the person that was going to help unalive her, and they went to an Airbnb, and I don't remember where it was, somewhere in California or the South somewhere, and they said it was a beautiful Airbnb, and she just loved the place. And then they went for the walk out into this beautiful scenic area for her to be done. And as they're going, I guess she stopped and marveled. Maybe it was ninjas or butterflies where I heard this. I don't remember. But she watched the sunset or the sun or the sky and thought, my God, this is so beautiful. And she wanted to stop and just notice it for a minute. And so they looked at it for a minute, and she was just marveling at it, how beautiful and serene it was. And she said she had this deep sense of peace. And then they started to go again towards this final destination, if you will. And suddenly, she felt this sting. Now, her treatment, she sought every measure of treatment possible for her condition. And it was basically untreatable. Nobody could help her. And it basically, she had Lyme disease. But the way it affected her was horrible. I remember that now. It was Lyme disease. And she was fading and living this excruciating life. So she sought all the normal treatments at that time, and nothing helped her. Nothing could help her. And it was just getting worse and worse and worse. So they're walking again, and she felt this bee sting. And she's like, she swatted it or something, and she couldn't do much about it. But suddenly they realized it was a killer bee. And suddenly she's being swarmed by these bees that are stinging her all over, and she's stuck there. She can't do anything. And the assistant runs away, obviously, because what are you going to do? Stay there and get stung too? I mean, you kind of feel crappy saying that, but if you're getting mauled by bees, you're going to have to make a choice. Well, because killer bees are exceptionally aggressive as well. And so the one person ran away, and she's all by herself in this wheelchair, can't do anything except get stung. And I guess she was stung hundreds of times before the swarm finally left her alone and flew off again. And the assistant person came back, found her there just in agony and swollen up, and they're like, well, what do you want to do? And she goes, just take me back to the Airbnb. That'll just be my last place. You know, she was just done. She had been through so much. So they went back to the Airbnb, and she's laying there, and slowly, over a matter of hours and maybe even days, she got better and better and better. And what they found was that, and there was apparently in a really obscure study that nobody had ever really followed up on, but what they found is that killer bee venom can actually cure that type of Lyme disease that was affecting her. It cured her. It took away the Lyme disease. She went on to recover and do fine after that. Go back to having a normal life. But how is that for incredible? It's like a divine intervention. So, I don't know. I guess there's been studies using bee venom to treat all kinds of different conditions, like to make bees sting in order to inject venom into people with certain diseases. And it's been shown to help. So it's pretty crazy. Yep. Yeah, I guess, I mean, yeah, maybe. Maybe, Rachel. I don't know what the magic or the science behind it is, but it actually cured her. I carried it. I don't know what I was talking about. Okay, I was going to. Beekeeper here. Ristel is a beekeeper. Says bee venom is amazing. Yeah, apparently. Hey, Unknown, good to see you. Thanks for coming in. So, yeah, that's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. God, I'm taking a long time on the news here, aren't I? Sorry. I just had to share that story because I thought that was pretty amazing. At the end of the news, we're going to do a what do you guys think here. I want to show you guys a video clip from Facebook that I saved. And it might become a new segment here on the shows. But it's going to be what do you think? And it's apparently showcasing something paranormal, supernatural, cryptid-wise. And you be the judge. So we'll get to that in just a second. All right. I guess in lieu of how long I've been running my mouth, we'll go on to that. So are you guys ready for this? I've been toying with get into beekeeping. That's awesome. Awesome. Yeah. Hello, friend. You can talk to Ristel. Ristel can help you. Or at least guide you. Maybe give you some advice. I think it's a great thing. Jackie Hall's here. How you doing, Jackie Hall? Good to see you. Thanks for coming in and being a part of the show. So we're going to go through a what do you think? What do you think? Are you guys ready for that? All right. Let me see if I can pull it up here. There it is. I don't know what to think. Well, first of all, I'll tell you, I don't think it's real. But maybe I shouldn't even say that. I mean, just because of the subject matter. And you'll see what I'm talking about here in just a moment. And this is from Facebook. It's from their reels. And this popped up and I was like, huh? But hold on, don't do that. Damn it. I hate how Windows always wants to frame things for you. Okay, and this is as big as I can make it. I can't make it bigger than this. But we're going to do this now. So what do you think? And I'll probably create a transition for this as we go through this. Oh, good. I'm glad you're good, Jackie. Wonderful. All right, here it is. A new possible segment of the shows. What do you think? Or what the hell is this? I'm not sure what I'm going to call it yet. But anyway, what the hell is this? So I was going through Facebook, and I look at the reels every once in a while, and I try to catch up on what people are posting. And I saw this, and I was like, what the hell's that? So I'll tell you, I'm not even going to try to set it up. I just want your feedback. This is kind of a chat host thing where we're going to talk about it. So I'm going to show you the video. It is on a loop. It's being posted by Daily Sandra Diputra. Sandra Diputra. That's interesting. Putra is Indonesian for son or honored son. So, but it's Sandra. So I don't know. Anyway, let's check it out. Here it is. I'm going to put it up on screen I guess I'll have to put it up like, well, I could maybe do it this way. Is it going to work this way? Yeah, it'll work this way with the news thing for now. Here it is. It says, what do you see? Well, what do you see? Apparently it looks like some kind of game camera setup. I don't know, but here it is, and it should loop, so you guys will be able to see it here shortly. There it is. There it goes. What the hell is that? So what it looks like, from what you can see, and granted, you can't see much. You can't see much, but it looks like some little bipedal dinosaur, like a little velociraptor is running by. Now, is it possible there's still dinosaurs? Sure. I mean, sure. There's still alligators. There's still sharks. There's claims of like the Mbembe and Congo, which is some kind of brontosaurus looking thing. So what is this exactly? Well, I don't know. And where is this exactly? I don't know that either. What do you guys think? Unknown says it looked like a squirrel. Yeah, I don't know. It looks bigger than a squirrel to me. Is there mongooses there? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know where it is. There's no information whatsoever on this clip. I'm just showing to you as I saw it. That's what I was thinking. Reptile-like. Yeah, it's one of those little dinos from Jurassic Park. Yeah, it does look like that. I don't know. I mean, obviously, I'm going to go with what I advised at the beginning of the show. Whenever you see something on the internet, you got to start with fake, right? Yeah, it does look like a dinosaur. I mean, it really does. And I've tried, I can't, like with YouTube videos, I can slow it down and go frame by frame and look for something. This is a reel. I don't know. There doesn't seem to be any actual controls to reels. So I can't really just stop it and frame by frame it. And I haven't found it anywhere else. Now, there is a watermark on this. It says Congo.bd. So I'm not sure what Congo.bd is, if this is allegedly from the Congo, where the Mbembe is still reported. If that's the case, well, maybe there's something to it. What's curious to me is that if this is a trail cam, why is the light always on? Because trail cams are triggered by motion, and unless this is not the first one that ran by, like another one ran by, triggered it, and it caught this one, if indeed we're going to entertain the idea that it's real. Ristel says I'm going with possum. Well, that's interesting. Let me lean in and look at this. Yeah, it doesn't, you can't really see it. It almost looks like it's, I mean, it really does look like a bipedal dinosaur kind of thing. But I don't see what looks like hair, but there is a weird two-tone on the tail, where the back and the top of the tail are one color, and then there's a lighter color underneath. Now that's some sort of squirrel-like creature or in that family. I mean, it's not that you couldn't be right. Like I said, it's fake, I'm sure. Most things are nowadays. Yeah, I agree. Paranormal Portal, can you freeze it? Yeah, I'll try to freeze it. That's a good idea. I'll do it on the next lap. Out there. That's about as good as I can freeze it. And it almost looks like those front legs. I mean, you see the motion from the back legs. I mean, but the front arms almost look like they're kind of up in front, like what you would expect from a Jurassic Park movie, right? I'm kind of curious. He'll get tired on that loop. Eventually. Where's the dinosaur? I just see a rodent. Oh, that's an interesting take. Huh. Curious Potato says a rodent. See, the thing is the tail is definitely fat, where it looks like it joins the body, and then it tapers very fast. And I don't know of a rodent that looks like that. Personally, that doesn't mean there isn't one, but it goes up here. The only motion you see is this pumping action from the back two legs. Now, what I was thinking of is could it be some kind of latex skin that you'd lay over a dog and then combine the front two legs or the back two legs with the back two legs of the dog with the two main legs of the creature. It's so obscured by weeds that you really can't, even if it is 100% accurate, you can't get there because there's too much hidden. Barbara says, I'm not sure I'm making sense. I don't want to call out what it is immediately. Okay. What did you say? Narrow down the... let's see. What did she say? I'm trying to move the browser window so I can read it. Narrow down the plants and animals in that area. If it gets close, it gets us closer to the location. Yeah, I don't know anything about the plants, unfortunately. I mean, I know nothing about plants, so I wish I could do that. Hey, Justin, Good Earth popped in over there. Barbara Mora, Dog Digger, Big D over on the Rumble. Good to see you guys. So that's a freeze frame of it. If it's at the Congo, look up giant pangolin. Yeah, but you'd definitely be able to see. I would think you could see those scales of the pangolin. They're not subtle at all. They're very pronounced. The pangolin scales. It could be though. I mean, that's not impossible. Again, this isn't a real sharp image. I'm going to let it run again, and you guys can see it moving. I just keep looking for something that's a giveaway of what it is, and I mean it's really, there's so much you can't see. You only get to see this upper part of the whatever the hell it is, and it's running by. I just think I'm deferring to some kind of latex thing that you attach to a dog, and it covers the dog's tail as well, because you maybe can wrap it into the tail of the alleged creature. I don't know. I mean, could it be faked? Yeah, easily. Is it fake? Probably. But duck-billed platypus. I don't think they're bipedal though. I think duck-billed platypus are quadrupedal. I think. Oh, she said I'm joking. Okay, sorry. I was like, well, because I always say we don't know any of this stuff, and so anybody's ideas are just as valid. But yeah, a joke is good. I just don't know enough about it. There's not any information that I could find, but I'm showing it to you guys just to see what you guys think. It's kind of like question of the week in video format. So, looks like a rat. Okay, fair enough. And it might be. Just the taper of that tail doesn't match a rodent to me, but I could be absolutely wrong. So, I'm just curious what you guys think. It does look like those little dinosaurs that ate the kid on the beach in Jurassic Park. Yeah, it does. It really does. And that's what caught my eye initially. I was like, what? But again, it's a cool video. Yeah, I agree, Barbara. It's a cool video. So there you go. This is What the Hell Is That? And some of them are going to be obviously stupid and easy to debunk. But I think it's good critical thinking exercise. What could it be? So if it is a dinosaur, could it be? I suppose in the realm of all possibilities and in the realm of the paranormal, supernatural, strange phenomena, sure, it could be. But what are the odds that somebody would catch that on a trail cam that has a light that's already on and we can't see what triggered it? And I don't know. Again, it's up in the air. But there you go. What the hell is that? Let me know what you think of that for a segment for future shows. If you don't mind, let me know. I'd like to know if this is something you'd like to see more of on the shows. Again, I'm always trying to adopt and adapt the shows to bring you something new so that you're not just watching the same shows. So, yeah, Velociraptors. Velociraptors were the size of chicken, so that might work. For that size, it could be. Hello, Linda. Good to see you. Thanks for coming in. And I think it's interesting. But if you like this segment, let me know. Let me know. Continue. So, ones and zeros. 1, you want to see me do more of this segment on future shows. 0, don't bother. So let me know what you think. Put a 1 in chat if you'd like to see more of this, or a 0 if you'd think it's not worth the time. So Sheldon likes it. The Unknown likes it. Maggie likes it. Carjuice says, I like this segment with it. Okay, good. I gotcha. Karen Alberding, Sharon Sunshine, Pixie. Okay, it's definitely 1s. All right. I haven't seen any zeros, so got it. Okay, well, if you guys want to see more of it, I'd be happy to do more. And let me know in the comments, too, if you're watching this when it's not live. Lendo likes it. Good one. Okay. I appreciate your feedback, guys. I want to bring you new shows, different shows. Phil Funk wants to see it. Good. Big D wants to see it. Barbara Moore wants to see it. Good. All right. Fantastic. Well, I appreciate that. Okay, guys. Thanks for weighing in. And this is Ben. What the hell is that? That's my working title right now. I'll try to make a graphic, or somebody can make one for me for a what do they call them? Stingers. Make me a stinger for it. What the hell is that? So, and then I'll use it on the shows. All right. Very cool. Thank you guys for weighing in, being a part of the discussion. All right. I got to get this off the screen. Get me on the screen. All right. We're going to be done with the news. I just included it with the news tonight. Let's get back to the rest of the show. All right. Well, that's kind of the unveiling of a new segment. Yeah, unknown, if you want to make me a stinger for that, I'd appreciate it. Just a quick little transition, much like the news. Something quick and easy. Make a video for Brent. You always make me videos anyway. So, in case you're wondering, this is the unknown's work right here. Isn't that cool? There you go. So appreciate it. Yeah, if anybody would want to do that, saves me a lot of time and energy. A dinosaur of some sort. It could be. Again, I'm not saying it couldn't have been a dinosaur. It couldn't be legit. But, I mean, what are the odds? Pretty high against it. But is it possible? Sure. I guess anything's possible, right? Especially in our realm of possibility. Everything's possible. So, all right. What was the thing? This is the thing I was going to get to. We're going to get to this now. Again, last week I unveiled my doll that I picked up. If you want to see what that looks like, you can find a video on Instagram or TikTok or Facebook. Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube Shorts. I put a video introducing my new doll. And otherwise, I did do it on a live show as well. I brought her out and let people see her as she stared into all of your souls. But she's here in the studio. But I thought, well, this was the segment we were going to do as I brought that up. Well, here it is. This is an article from an incredible site that we use not all the time, but once in a while on the shows. But it is a great site. I love this site. I've been a fan of this site for a long time. And this is Thought Catalog. This article is written by Eric Redding, and he's an exceptional author over there. He's done several articles through the years, and I've always loved his work. And so we're going to get into that. And this article, what is the article? Well, I'm glad you asked. Here it is. It is, well, you can't really see it. There it is. 9 true and terrifying tales of haunted toys tormenting their owners. There you go. Haunted toys. This is the name of the doll Wolf. I think it's just one F. But I did see a mention of a wolf online of WOLFE, but yeah. So it's Anita Wolf and then a number after it. But I think it's just one F. I didn't see an extra E at the end, but it wasn't real easy to see because it's like written into the porcelain as an actual engraving kind of thing. So it's not colored in. So I had to play with angles to see that much. Love haunted toys, Amanda says. Well, good. You're in the right place. because that's what we're going to talk about now. This article is from 3 years ago. It was from September 26, 2022. That's why I love this topic of the paranormal, supernatural, strange phenomena, because it doesn't ever age. It doesn't ever age. You can read ghost stories from Victorian times, and they're just as compelling and spooky and creepy then as they are now when you read those very same stories. Same thing with ghost stories. Whenever they happen, UFO stories, whenever they happen, they are, it doesn't matter how old the material is, it still is fascinating to this day. And of course, cryptids and strange phenomena itself, like time slips. I never get tired of them, and they never become irrelevant. Unless, I suppose, like Bigfoot could become irrelevant if, to a degree, could become irrelevant if it was absolutely substantiated by science and they had started researching them actively, and you could just turn on the Discovery Channel and watch the latest Bigfoot episode where they're talking about following the tribe around and stuff. Then I guess a lot of the Bigfoot stuff encounters would probably fall to the wayside, but maybe not. I mean, I hope not, because they are still exceptionally powerful moments. But, again, so it's always relevant. Here we go. We're just going to go right to the meat and start with number 1 on this article. When you watch. When I was probably about 12, we got turbo twists from some friends, parents, or something. The details escape me, and somebody thought they would be educational instead of below my sister and I's education level. Well, we had a red one and a green one, and to the best I can remember, it was the red one that went bad. But the details escapes me. Also, it was dark at the time, so I wasn't even sure which one it was until morning. Every time you turn one of these on by turning either end, the following sound is emitted by the speaker on the left end. Do, 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 do. Hey, dude, is that you? Hit it and let's go. Well, you practically need the user manual to figure out what that means. What it means that the button on the right end is essentially the swipe to unlock, and that's what it's telling you to do. One of the features is that you can customize what name it calls you by, but only out of a limited set of options they voice acted, most of which sucked. Well, we just left it on dude. Turn it off and it plays a short slap bass riff. Da-da-da-da-da. One night I was almost asleep in my bed when I hear the chime. Do-do-do-do-do, but immediately, ba-da-da-da-da. And it just turned on and shut off all by itself, halfway across the room. And then it did it again, and again. And I don't mean it got the same amount into the opening, or that it even paused between shutting off and turning back on consistently. For the first few minutes, it was nonstop. Hey, dude, da-da-da-da-da-da-da, do-do-do-do-da-da-da-da-da-do-do-da-da-da. I'm trying to read this. Hey, dude, is that da-da-da-da-da-da? And it started taking longer breaks in between. Well, I was pretty freaked out by this point, watching it as intently as I could with my agonizing lack of night vision. Well, I rolled over onto my side trying to ignore it, and that's when things get bad. All of a sudden, it just plain stops. I don't make the connection until I turn to look again, and it starts turning on and off again. I turn back and forth a few times to make sure, spending a lot of time on each side, and every time it confirms my suspicion. It only plays when I'm watching it. Well, I spent the rest of the night tucked under the covers, huddled up, and facing away from the demon-possessed piece of evil. I'm not sure if it's silently creeping up on me somehow, and I'm too scared to look. Only to hear it louder and closer to my bed, like the freaking mannequins in NM2, but noisy. In the morning, I was afraid to throw it out and afraid to keep it. I wanted to believe it hadn't really happened, so I convinced myself it hadn't until the next night when it happened again. quiet all day, no matter how I try to replicate the freakiness. And then come midnight, it glitches again. After that, I was like, nope, and took the batteries out, which seemed to work. It happened again one more time months later. Took it apart in the morning, and there were no batteries in it. And that was a take by Rainfly_X. So this must be a Reddit scrape then, yeah. That's a creepy story. So I don't know that the actual object was the haunted part. Perhaps something was there and it just decided to interact with it. Electronics and spirits go hand in hand for some reason. And I've thought maybe it's by virtue of the fact that these are energetic personalities. These are energetic beings. Whether they were formerly human or not, they are energetic. And maybe much like Bigfoot looking in your window, when you bring home a new toy, that becomes interesting. It's like, well, what does that do? And so they do it. Like, again, going back to one of my personal stories. My dad, in his lifetime, could not operate a remote control. He could not change his own channel. He had to call my mom and have her do it. Now, following him passing, if indeed that was really my dad who was at the house, and it seems like it pretty much was by all of our accounts, but he figured it out. I mean, he could do everything electronically. Change channels, turn it louder, softer, everything. He was a whiz suddenly. And I don't know. Maybe influencing electronics for spirits is very easy, just because it's energy, right? I don't know. Maybe they have some inside scoop, inside knowledge, just know how to manipulate those things. But yeah, very cool. Oh no, Sharon Sunshine says my car eats squirrels. It eats the heads off. Oh no. Oh no, that's not good. Jackie Hall says, laugh out loud, that's me. So you talking about the remotes, Jackie? Yeah, my dad could not run a TV or anything. Anytime he wanted to change the channel, which was either Gunsmoke, Walker, Texas Ranger. That was like his two shows that he watched. My mom always had to get up and do it for him, which is another part of the house. So yeah, but when he'd make himself known after that, he was turning lights on and off, radios, changing channels on her TV, his TV on, off. And then the time that he made it go to the internet into my show, which was phenomenal. So true stories. My dad just called me or my sister. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I was the remote control growing up, It was like, turn the channel, turn it up, turn it down, turn it on this channel. My dad had the TV guide. He knew how to work that. And I was the remote. Sometimes my other brothers were the remotes too, whoever was closest. But yeah, we were the remotes. All right, number 2, the tiny toy cat. It always starts cute. It always starts with something cute. We bought, what I was going to say about that though, is that it might be the spirit was there all the time, but just was really compelled by this toy. So it doesn't mean that necessarily the toy had the connection. It was just interesting enough and the spirit found it fun to play with. And I guess, that's what I'm thinking. Oh, thank you, Kelly. Got a 20 from Kelly. Thank you so much. Thank you for the donation. I appreciate that a bunch. All right. So it's not always the object. It's just the object they choose to interact with. And why? I don't know. It could be the object. Certainly, that's not beyond the scope of reason. But is it for sure just the object? Well, maybe. Maybe not, though. All right, the tiny toy cat. Let's get to this one. We bought a toy cat small enough to fit in your hand. And when you squeezed it, it made a noise just like our half Siamese. And I would occasionally harass my partner with it. The batteries started to die, and it would make this rasping emphysema sound, and then it stopped working. So we put it up on the 3rd floor. Our house is old, a typical 1924 square, and we don't heat the 3rd floor in the winter. We store things there. We didn't throw it away because it was cute, and about this time, our one cat, Cassie, grew ill. Well, after a month of treatment, our vet was near tears, telling us there was nothing he could do. It was 4 days before Christmas, and we decided to euthanize her the next day, and we chose to do it at home, not wanting her to die in the arms of strangers on a stainless steel table under fluorescent lights. Well, I dug a grave in the clay in the backyard and left it open and let the snow fall into the grave. I went up to the 3rd floor to get an old blanket to bury her in and brought the toy cat downstairs. I squeezed it again. Now it was just silent. There was nothing. The vet arrived and we took Cassie into the living room, pulled the pocket door shut so she could not wander off, and she was euthanized in our arms in the living room floor, or on the rug, it says. We went outside without our coats, and we laid Cassie in the grave, and I filled it in. The next day, I took all the cat furniture out to the garage, washed all the cat blankets, food bowls, put all the toys into a box, and threw the medications away. The next night, as we were in bed settling into the new silence, the toy cat meowed. It was a single perfect long Siamese wail. We got up and walked into the office and picked up the cat. The only sound it would make was the emphysema rasp, and then nothing. We tell ourselves the cat meowed without being squeezed because it had warmed up from being stored in the unheated attic. We still have the little cat. She sits on a shelf at eye level and smiles at us when we walk through our hallway. We squeeze it from time to time, but it has never made another sound. This is a true story. But again, was it the cat? Because they said the toy cat, sounded like their cat. So maybe it was the cat. Just saying, I'm still here. I don't know. There is room for interpretation. I don't know. I don't pretend to know. But anyway, that was from Uncle Wiggly. Uncle Wiggly made that. Felt like something hit my chair. All right. Number 3 is a short one. Bless you. When I was a kid, I used to sleep with dolls. One night I woke up and heard a sneeze, and my face got all wet. I didn't sneeze, and the only thing next to me was my doll. So what would you do? What would you do if your doll sneezed on you suddenly? That's creepy stuff. But it's kind of cool, right? Like, maybe there's another element. Could it be true? Like Toy Story. Come on. That's kind of like Toy Story right there. What if the dolls come alive? What if they all could? That's kind of creepy thinking. Number 4 is James. Who wrote that one? Oh, Suno wrote that one. Sorry. Just a 2-sentence story, but it's still very powerful. Number 4 is James. I recently moved into a new house and now live alone. Well, the house is near a small town, maybe 2 miles away, and the house itself in the middle of a nicely wooded area in a smaller town, which is perfect for me. I love the serenity of the woods, being untainted by urban life, and the idea of having a barn absolutely thrilled me, with all the possibilities of what I could turn it into. My parents recently gave me this house as a graduation gift. Wow, that's a hell of a nice gift. The house was given to them by my grandparents, which is strange because we didn't live in this house growing up. In fact, my parents never mentioned it to me until I graduated college, admitting that they much preferred the city life over living in the middle of nowhere. My mother lived in the house briefly until she was around 7 when my grandparents decided to pack up and move one day. They never sold the house. They said there were too many memories, and at the very least, my parents could use it as a vacation home, but they never did. The house was in a slight state of disrepair. However, I couldn't care less. I was a homeowner. Mowing the lawn and clearing the branches was the easy part. The real work began within the house. Dusting old furniture, clearing cobwebs, and throwing away old canned food. Well, it took me about 2 weeks of cleaning until I decided it was sanitary enough to move into. I decided to take a few weeks just to relax. I was tired of partying and I didn't want to start searching for a job just yet. I spent my first day at the house hiking near the creek, fishing on a small pond, and meeting folks in town. Well, that night, however, I was restless. There was no TV and I didn't have any books other than textbooks. I needed something to do after it got dark out, so I started exploring the house. In the attic, to my surprise, was filled with random furniture, toys, and trinkets from my mother's childhood. I found baseball cards, jump ropes, little football helmet, action figures, a doll house, board games, etc. Well, this was fascinating to me. I then found an antique dresser, which I found my mother's diary. Jackpot. I can read this at night until I fall asleep. Not this night, however. I was tired and decided to go to sleep in my new bedroom in my beautiful new house. Sleep came fast. However, I was woken by a creaking from the stairs and attic. Well, this was to be expected living in an old house. I was sure I'd get used to it. The next day I decided to check out the barn. I decided to turn it into a hobby lounge where I could do woodworking and whatever my wavering enthusiasms desired. Well, the barn was in fact in pristine condition, aside from a pile of cigarette butts in the corner and a musky smell which hung in the air. The smell was the only thing that bothered me. I'm a non-smoker. I hate cigarettes, and the stench they give off makes me want to vomit. Well, there was a very unstable looking ladder leading up to the loft, which I decided not to use. The last thing I needed was to break my neck in the middle of nowhere. There didn't appear to be anything up there aside from some hay creeping over the edge. Well, after picking up the butts, I realized that I had more free time than I planned, since I assumed I would spend the day clearing the barn. I decided to explore the attic some more, as I could not find my car keys to drive to town. Oddly enough, I swore that I left them on the kitchen table next to my wallet, as this is what I've always done with any set of car keys I own. Aside from an old mirror and a pile of old cloths, I couldn't find anything much of interest. As I left, I noticed that there was less dolls than I had remembered, and I could swear one of them was not there before. Whatever, I decided to just read my mom's diary. Lying in bed, I read through the diary, laughing at the entries of the diary. Some of them mentioned her older brother James throwing tantrums for no apparent reason, punching himself in the face, or trying to fling his baseball bat into a tree. My mom must have had a very overactive imagination as a child, because she had no siblings and grew up a single child. I marked the page I was on and went downstairs to get a snack, growing more annoyed by the constant creaking in the attic. I decided to go to town the next morning and find someone who could fix it. Remembering I had lost my keys, I decided to retrace my steps so I could leave for town early in the morning. The sun was beginning to set, a dull orange peeking over the horizon, so I decided to check the barn before it became too dark to see. I brought a flashlight just in case it did become too dark. I couldn't find my keys. However, I did find a few cigarette butts in the corner, which I'd apparently missed from earlier. I set down the flashlight and scooped them up and threw them away. After an unsuccessful search, I glanced up towards the loft and noticed there was a doll propped up against the wall. I could have sworn the doll was in the attic yesterday. So against my better judgment, I climbed the rickety ladder to the loft. There was nothing up here aside from an old hammer, the doll, and a pile of hay. I picked up the doll and climbed down and walked towards my house. When I entered the front door, I noticed my keys on the ground. Only the car ignition key was mangled and bent. This is sounding kind of fictiony to me. Annoyed that I somehow must have stepped on the key to bend it, I decided to go to bed and walk to town in the morning. Well, before going to sleep, I cracked open my mom's old diary to read. She was surprisingly articulate for a 7-year-old, and I became so entranced by the story that the old house's creaking no longer bothered me. The diary entries became disturbing. However, James began cutting himself in front of the family and starting fires. The story was becoming very morbid for a 7-year-old's imagination. The most disturbing entry was James had tried to kill my grandfather with a knife and ran off into the woods after stabbing him. My mother bearing witness to the entire scene. After returning from the hospital, James had not returned. Dead animals started appearing outside the front door, and messages were being written on the house with blood. She wrote how her grandparents have been whispering among themselves for a week now, and no longer allowing her out of the house alone. She also frequently wrote about how much she missed James. The diary ended here, with no mention of when or why they moved. It just stopped. I think James isn't gone. My heart was racing, my pupils dilated, and my heavy breathing silent. I didn't want to stay here anymore. True or not, the diary chilled me to the bone. I was aware of everything due to my adrenaline rush, the wind blowing outside and every little creak the house made. Wait, the house was no longer creaking. It was dead silent. I pushed my bed against the door, barricading myself in the room. I moved my dresser in front of the window, knocking over my lamp, and the only source of light, the blanket of darkness covered the room. The only source of light coming from the tiny keyhole in the door. Determined to stay awake until sunrise, I sat with my back against the wall next to the bed. The floor began creaking down the hallway, stopping right outside my door and then stopping. The light seeping in through the keyhole went dark. I tried to listen over the deafening sound of air entering and exiting my lungs. What was worse was that my constant thumping of blood entering and leaving my heart. A few minutes after soul-crushing fear, light returned through the keyhole, followed by more creaking. I refused to look through the keyhole to confirm my worst fear. After what seemed like days, morning finally came. When light creeped around my dresser blocking the window, I moved it and waited until sunlight saturated the whole forest. Cautiously, I moved my bed and bolted down the stairs. I didn't need a car. I was going to run to town. I ran into the barn quickly to grab my heavy mag flashlight as a blunt weapon if I needed it. I plucked it from the pile of cigarettes it was hiding under and ran down the dirt path into town. I called my parents to come and pick me up from a Greasy Spoon diner, making sure to sit in a booth which was against a wall and not a window. Aftermath, I did call the police, who insisted they found nothing out of the ordinary, and both my mother and grandparents deny any existence of a family member named James. I returned to the house with several friends, and my parents, mind you, to retrieve my belongings, and I was not living in this damned house. There were blank pages from the diary stacked nicely on the nightstand. However, we couldn't find the diary no matter how much we searched. My mother vehemently denied ever having one and scolded me for smoking in the barn and littering the ground with cigarette butts and having such an active imagination. No, it's all completely true. I decided it was already too long to include the aftermath of the story, but there is more. I lived in a hotel for a while after the ordeal, and a few days after it happened, I decided to drop by my parents' house. I walked in on my mother and my grandparents having an explosive argument while my father sat silently looking with his mouth gaping wide open. The argument obviously ceased the second I walked in, and they muttered something about the topic being politics. Not long after my mom admitted herself into a mental hospital for a few weeks for stress of losing money in the stock market. She seemed different since her stay at the hospital, but it's probably due to the heavy medication they put her on. She does see one for anxiety problems and recently moved to New York. She likes areas crowded with people. We don't talk about what happened anymore. That's a lot of words. The way I see it, there are only 3 possibilities of what happened. First is that I went psychotic and I bent my own keys, smoked all of the cigarettes and moved the dolls around. Then after a few days of my psychotic break, I decided to run to town and make up a story about what happened. I don't believe this option at all, although I'd like to believe this one the most. Second is that some ghost or spirit was trying to tell me its story. I don't really believe this one at all either. A ghost smoking cigarettes? I don't really believe in the supernatural like ghosts anyways. But I sure do believe in deranged maniacs. Third is that James really does exist and was living in the barn/house. He bent my keys and was smoking, and he was what walked down the hall and looked into my room through the keyhole. I guess my grandparents believed him to be gone when they gave me the house. I assume that what happened scared my mom for life and she doesn't want to talk about it. I believe this 100%, but I refuse to go back to the house to confirm it. I don't know. That one's... Is it true? I guess it's possible. That's by Thunder... Well, it's Thunder Egg, but there's a 3 for an E. What do you guys think? That a real story? Or is that just some creative writing? It seems pretty thorough. And that's one of the big takeaways for me, is that not that people that can write can't have true stories too, but I don't know. I don't know what you think. What do you think? Is it something? Is it nothing? Annie says, I think it's fiction. Yeah, I do too. I really do. And, unfortunately, I can't. I'm a bit sus about it, Sheldon says, but good fiction, sure. It's a creepy story, and that's fine. But I don't like covering fiction on this show, and I don't do it as a matter of precedence, because I'm interested in this stuff because I really want answers. I really want to understand this phenomenon. I want to see other people's takes about it. But I don't want somebody's creative writing project. That doesn't help move the needle because it's just creative writing. So, I don't know. But could it be true? Could be. Could be true. I don't know. How long is the Mariner Moose? It's another big one. It's pretty big. I guess we'll read the Mariner Moose. Again, this one's not horribly big like the last one. Last one was huge. I mean, here's the case. I hope that's creative writing. I hope that's not a true story, because it's creepy as hell. And there are some extraordinarily broken people. Again, I worked in corrections. I worked with a bunch of extraordinarily broken people. And it's a heartbreaker because you can't fix it. It may not be possible to fix. And some of them it definitely wasn't possible. But for the most part, I always try to believe there was help. I don't know. I don't know. That one felt fiction-y to me. It was a good story, Amanda's Crazy Life channel says. Yeah, I think it was. But, and I'm not opposed to reading fiction stories myself. It's just that I always want the portal to be us addressing the real phenomena, the real nature of this stuff as much as we can. And sure, I mean, can people feed us BS? Sure. But we hope not. We hope not to get BS on the show. All right, number 5, the Mariner Moose. This is, how many was this? 9? There's 4 more after this. How big are the last 4? I just want to look so I have an idea. Yeah, there's other long stories. So we'll read this one, then we'll go to some cryptids. But we'll read the Mariner Moose. Okay, so my first and second, I guess, supernatural encounters happened when my family was living in Maine. We lived in this not so old but big house out in the sticks. I was about 13 at the time, and in my bedroom, I had a plush Mariner Moose, the mascot of the baseball team, sitting on a shelf near the end of my bed. Well, a few weeks into living there at night, I would dream that the moose would get up and pace back and forth across the shelf. Sometimes like the moose was in deep thought, and sometimes it would just be a frantic sprint and be twitchy. Well, I wanted to make sure I was dreaming, so the next day I set him in a certain spot on the shelf and put a piece of tape underneath him so I knew exactly where. Well, that night I had the dream again, woke up the next morning, and the moose was sitting at the farthest point from where I set him that night. I was freaked out by that point and thought, maybe I wasn't dreaming at all. My next story takes place in the same house and further provoked my belief that the house was haunted. My mom started a little Christmas wreath making business in the garage, and they would have the radio on and be listening to music while decorating the wreaths. What about the same time every day, the radio would somehow change the station to this old-time 40s music. Oh, that's cool. I love old-time 40s music. We thought for a bit that the radio station just changed what was playing. So one day we decided to watch it, and it got to about the time, and we noticed the knob on the radio is actually turning by itself to the old-time station. Well, Mom was promptly freaked out and unplugged the radio that day and continued to make the wreaths in silence. It was like, nope. My next story takes place in Northern California. Me and a few friends were driving home from Dillon Beach at about 2 a.m. Well, I was the designated driver. I was like, what, D&D? Designated driver, okay. And completely sober. My friends were all pretty high in the back seat, and I was driving a Jeep Wrangler with the top down, so no protection from anything. We're about a mile from the beach, and anyone who's ever been around the coast knows it can get really foggy at night, and, well, it was. Thick fog. And I was driving slow, so I didn't go off the road on one of the many curves. My friends are all having a time laughing and telling stories, and then I slam on the brakes, and they get all mad and say, "What the hell was that for?" I just said, "Look." And in front of the Jeep, illuminated by the headlights, was this thing. It had an arched back and was pretty hairy, but pieces seemed to be falling off. It wasn't walking normally like a dog. It kind of waddled and was bigger than a dog. The archback easily went up higher than the hood of my Jeep. And the walk is what made it bad. It was twitching across the road like it was having a seizure or something. Well, at that point, I didn't see its face until about the time it hit the other side of the road, where it froze and snapped its head and looked at all of us in the car. Then it got up on its hind legs and sprinted into the woods. The face looked not of a dog or bear or anything wild that could have been there. It really is undescribable, but looks like somewhat of a mix between a dog and a human. I legitimately believe I saw a werewolf that night. We all do. Well, I floored it after that and was pretty much freaking out for the next few weeks. So yeah, that's what I've seen in my life. Definitely stopped me from sleeping a few nights. Very wild. So if you hear a little buzzing now, I do have a little fan running because it's sweltering in this studio. So just so you know, it's not the electrical hum that we were getting before. It's actually intentional because I don't want to die of sweat as I do this show. So what did he see? What do you guys think? He said it sounded like pieces were falling off. I was thinking kind of like Skinwalker thing, right? Is that possible? He witnessed a Skinwalker of some sort? Or some version of Skinwalker, perhaps? I don't know. Owl says, that's cool. I live in Lethbridge. Currently, I grew up around here. Is Lethbridge near where the... Oh, I absolutely love Dillon's Beach. One of my favorite vacay spots. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's neat. I think that's cool that we can be reading stories and it may really resonate with some of you out there that are, oh, I know that place. That's very cool. So this story was by Compact Flash. So I think we'll leave it there, though. I think we'll head to what's left by doing some cryptids. Are you guys ready for some cryptids? I think it's time for some cryptids. So let me line this up. Let's get it ready. I think we're going to start here. Let's start here. This one. I think I can read this. It's pretty big. This one's from Sasquatch Chronicles, but let's do this one because it kind of naturally follows that last story. Here we go. It's time, ladies and gentlemen, for the Cryptid Corner. It's time, ladies and gentlemen, for the Cryptid Corner. All right, we're going to get into this. Yeah, I think that's really cool. Not sure, Brent. It's just a bit creepy. It is a bit creepy, whatever that was. It's a creepy story. I did want to say that the ancient Druids regarded fog as a very mystical medium. That they regarded it as a very sacred and special and spiritual time. That fog was necessary for some practices, but it was also considered to be dangerous. The fog was always considered to be dangerous. Obviously, there's the limited visibility, which is always an issue, especially if you're driving. But there was some practices that the ancient Druids would observe, and one in particular that I'm thinking of was a gateway spell. But it could only be cast during a time of fog, and fog was absolutely important. And I think the belief was that it thinned the layers of reality. And so if you, the way it goes is if you were able to successfully cast this portal spell into the other world, if you entered, you were not to touch anything, and definitely don't take anything with you. So no matter what you see there, you're not supposed to touch or take. And the other big warning was you have to come back out before the fog dissipates, because if the fog dissipates, you're stuck forever. So I don't know what you think about fog, but it's always been considered a mystical medium for a lot of things. Obviously, it's a staple of a lot of the horror genre and movies, and of course the world closes in when you're in fog. So yeah, so I thought that was interesting. But we're going to start the Cryptid Corner right here on Sasquatch Chronicles blog. This is of course our dear friend Mr. Wes Germer's blog, and it is the companion site to Sasquatch Chronicles, the podcast. So if you have not checked out the blog, you're missing out. And Wes does an incredible job keeping this current and posting things all the time over here. So you're missing a lot of information if you're not checking out SasquatchChronicles.com. And it's also a great place to find the posted episodes and to become a member. If you want another episode every week, you get all those membership perks, of course. So look into it. Help Mr. Germer. Help Wes. All right, but here we go. This one is the 1970s Wisconsin werewolves. It's from April 27th. A listener writes, I've been a listener for quite a while and finally decided to write down my experiences. The first happened in the mid-1970s and the second in the late 1990s. I've also had a few odd paranormal-ish experiences, but I'm not sure if they're relevant. Au contraire, they're always relevant, but maybe not for this article. I don't know the exact year of my first experience, but it was in the mid-70s, so I'd guess I was between 5 and 8 years old. I grew up in east central Wisconsin near the shores of Lake Michigan, roughly halfway between Green Bay and Milwaukee, which makes sense, of course, because the Michigan Dogman and, of course, the Beast of Bray Road is from Wisconsin. Those stories are from Wisconsin. And it's over by Kettle Moraine in that area, I think. But I might be wrong. I'm not sure where Beast of Bray Road takes place, but I do know it's in Wisconsin on the eastern side. So, okay, roughly halfway between Green Bay and Milwaukee. In a rural area that was largely farms and farmland, but with single-family homes scattered here and there, often separated by fields and or small tracts of woodland. My parents and I were going on a road trip, and they'd risen well before dawn, just before the first hint of dusk was in the sky. The first hint of dusk? Isn't dusk night? Like dawn, and dawn is the morning, and dusk is night. But anyway, in the pitch black, they'd gotten me out of bed and put me in my sleeping. We read this one, right? Yeah, we did read this one. Never mind, I can't read it again. I thought I'd closed it. I never closed it. Sorry. I can't read you the same whole story again. I'll tell you what I will do, though. I'll put a link in the chats if anybody's not heard that story. It's really fascinating story. But I can't reread you the same material. I thought I'd closed that. My mistake. But anyway, it's in the chat if you guys want to check it out for yourself. It's a fantastic story. It really is. Pretty amazing. So, sorry. I'm an idiot. Sometimes I'm not as prepared as I think I am. That's tonight. All right, let's go to this one. The Bear King of Marble Falls, April 23rd. The Bear King of Marble Falls is the name of a creature sighted in Marble Falls, Texas. I hope I didn't read this one. That reportedly abducted a local woman in 1901 before being shot and killed by locals who hunted it. Did I read this one, guys? Anybody know? I'm hoping I didn't. If I did, I'm an idiot. Sorry, guys. No, I didn't. Okay. I don't think I did. Marble Falls is a city in Burnett County, Texas. As of the 2020 United States Census, the city population was 7,037. Okay. It says, okay, Lake Marble Falls is part of the Highland Lakes on the Colorado River, the largest chains of lakes in Texas. The history: Kickatoo Indians of the region had a local legend involving a bear man who rules over all the bears in the region, serving as their king. This creature was dubbed the Bear King, and a name that the local media picked up to describe the nearby entity that was sighted in 1901 by a number of locals. On May 15, 1901, papers across the United States reported on an abduction in Marble Falls, Texas, in which a local girl named Ramey Arland was taken captive by the Bear King. As Ramey was out tending to the sheep flock on her family's farm one afternoon, members of the household reported to hear Ramey's screams, followed by what they described as the roar of a panther. Gathering weapons and running from their home, they found Ramey gone, and after searching the woods without clues, soon assembled a search party of locals. The group searched the woods all night and was unable to find the missing girl. The next day, a local hunter found Ramey wandering the woods aimlessly several miles away. Ramey claimed that she had been grabbed by a bear man who brought her to a cave in the mountains and struck her any time she tried to escape. Ramey eventually waited for the creature to fall asleep before escaping. A group of local men began tracking the creature and eventually found its cave, where they confronted the beast, who growled like a panther and beat its chest. The locals were hesitant to kill it, as the creature resembled a human, but eventually shot it after it charged at them. No description was made for what they did with its body. Years later, a local brewery was named after the Bear King in memory of the event. That's interesting. That's really interesting. So obviously this is a Sasquatch, right? I mean, isn't that what you guys would say? There's a video attached to this. And again, I'm going to put this link in the chats if you guys want to watch the video included. Please do. Otherwise, you can find it yourself on Sasquatch Chronicles blog at sasquatchchronicles.com. Sorry. A little raspy, but I'm getting better. I think we probably got time for one more. We're going to probably head to Phantoms and Monsters. I don't know, how long is this one? This one's kind of long, but I think I can read it. I think I can do this one. It's Lon Strickler's site is Phantoms and Monsters, an exceptional site as well. Lon updates this several times every day. He's always posting new content. And if you're looking for encounter stories, people's eyewitness reports, there's thousands of them on this site, guys. You're going to be able to spend months going through this. So please check out phantomsandmonsters.com. And you can also learn about Lon's published works, his books. He's been into this for decades. And he has his own podcast, which is called Phantoms and Monsters Radio. And you can find his YouTube channel of the same name on YouTube and watch live streams every Friday night. So definitely support what Lon is doing, if you would, please. All right, here we go. Unknown bipedal creature watches witnesses in Gila National Forest, New Mexico. With my hair standing on end, I took a few steps backward, and that's when I noticed the eyes. About 20 feet away above the bank of the ditch was a pair staring directly at me. That's kind of a AI rendering of it, I guess. Lon says, I received the following account. I've had many odd experiences over the years, lots of which come from my time camping when I was working towards Eagle Scout. I've spent extensive amount of times in national parks and in the bush solo. There are places I generally feel comfortable in, but some of my experiences creep me out so much to this day that it deters me from solo adventures. I'm hosting a party here, apparently. This particular event occurred in about 2007 in the Gila Wilderness, Gila National Forest in New Mexico. And I'm from New Mexico and was raised in Roswell. Ooh. So this is an area I have visited several times prior without major incident. On this particular trip, I was with a group of about 10 other people who were 2 days. We were 2 days into our trek with several more to go. For those who aren't familiar with the Gila, it's a stunningly beautiful area with trails that follow a winding river that carves beautifully through a canyon. High cliff sides are jutting up hundreds of feet through some of the parts of the canyon and the dense brush. Overall, it is very isolated and has an odd vibe to it in certain places. I've always associated with the fact that it's an area with ancient Native American history dating back to at least 9,600 BC. I know of, or maybe further. Lots of crazy stuff has happened there over the years, to be sure. It has a compelling history. On this particular night, we were camped in an area where the river makes a U-shape as it wraps through a canyon. It was a fun day, and I had even managed to catch some trout that I ate for dinner. Right around dusk, I needed to relieve myself, so I wandered away from our camp into what I would describe as a ravine or an arroyo, where floodwaters drain into the river. There was dense brush and high sloping banks on either side, and all in all, it seemed like a good place to go to the John at the time. Well, I made my way up the ravine, and thinking back on it, I walked an unreasonable distance from the camp, which I find strange. As if I kept walking almost absent-mindedly or was just drawn further in, which is not my norm. Well, as a preface, there is something I think many here are familiar with that is known as colloquially as the silence. Typically, this phenomenon occurs in nature when there is a large predator in the area. And I know from reading stories here that some of you are familiar with it. Well, anyway, about halfway through, I noticed it was eerily quiet. And I knew that something was very wrong. When I say quiet, I mean the silence was deafening, if that makes any sense. By this time, it's nearly completely dark, and I'm out of earshot of my camp. And alarm bells start intensely blaring in my head and gut. My hair stood on end, and I noticed a strange change in my perception. likely caused by the twilight phase change. But the light around me seemed to become shrouded in shadow quite suddenly. It was almost like someone had one of those sliding dimming switches for a light bulb. You know the feeling that you get when you're sitting somewhere public and just feel someone else is looking at you? Well, that's what happened suddenly and intensely. A few moments later, I heard a loud and distant crack and odd rustling from about 30 feet away above me in the bush. It sounded like a person walking, where no person should be. It sounded like human footsteps cracking twigs. Well, I was petrified to make a move. I finished my business and stood as confidently as I could muster, facing the direction of the sound. I was unarmed, and knowing what I knew about predators, I didn't want to make myself appear any more vulnerable than a kid alone in a ditch, in the dark. I've had encounters with bears, mountain lions, etc., but this felt so much different. I did not have the high ground, figuratively and literally. So I called out loudly, "Hello?" A few seconds passed and the rustling continued in the distance. Silence. With no response back in a few moments at this point, I felt beyond vulnerable and terrified. Unreasonably terrified. In hindsight, and after researching, I often wonder if infrasound played a role. With my hair standing on end, I took a few steps backward, and that's when I noticed the eyes. About 20 feet away above the bank of the ditch was a pair staring directly at me. I was in shock for a moment, as it was near where I heard the crack. Slightly iridescent looking eyes, high above me on the bank. High enough that they had to be either a massive creature or a large creature on a tree branch. The silhouette didn't make sense, but shadows played tricks on the eyes and mind, and I can't be sure it wasn't a large owl or something like that, but the circumstances and general feeling make me believe otherwise. The silence and heaviness in the air were wrong, but it's hard to explain. Instinctively, I backed up as slowly as I could, facing those eyes, and that's when I heard another crack above me to the right. And this made me lose my crap, as that noise was much closer. Well, at this point, my fight or flight kicked in, and I turned and sprinted as fast as I could. Breathless, I made it back to camp and told my friends I thought there was possibly a large predator in the area, and we should make sure we bear bag and take precautions. Thinking back on it, I think it very well could have been a mountain lion or a bear. Who knows? One thing I know for certain is that I felt like I was in absolute danger, and all of my alarm bells were screaming to get out of there. Still freaks me out all these years later. The shade of that memory is always in the back of my mind whenever I'm out in the woods alone. All in all, I'm just glad I'm not another backwards missing person statistic. That's signed by the letter B. The story was brought to you by the letter B. Boy, that was scary. There you go. I don't know. Crazy stuff, right? Great story, though. I know that silence. I've experienced that silence. That's creepy as hell. Huh. Very interesting. I'm just checking up the chat here. But yeah, I think that was a good story. I don't know what he saw. Sounds squatchy, but maybe not. Maybe it was something else. They always say if you hear one or you see one, you're not seeing the others. And they're very rarely are they ever alone. And I suppose that's true for any of these cryptids, really. Maybe there aren't very many solitary cryptids, but I don't know. Certainly, if you hear one, see one, great show tonight. Thanks, everyone, for welcoming me. Well, thanks for being here, Amanda. I appreciate you coming in and hanging out with us for a night. Hope you enjoyed it. Hopefully you subscribed and rang the bell. And speaking of bells and notifications, folks, I think it's only like 14% of you guys watching have like hit the notifications, and that's fine. If you don't want to do it, that's cool. If you just want to subscribe, that's cool. But, hey, it helps me. And it certainly lets people know when we're live. So, yeah, you're welcome, Sharon. Thank you so much. I appreciate you being here. Good to see you. I didn't see you come in, but I'm glad you're here. Thank you so much. I should see it now that I'm looking at the chat. You've been chatting. Hi, all. Good to see you as well. But, Amanda, you did all those things. I will have a great night. Thank you. I appreciate your support. All right, guys. Speaking of that, it's kind of showtime here. Showtime's about over. That's about all I got for you tonight. Hope you guys had a good time, and thank you all for coming to hang out with me on this fine Wednesday hump day evening. And good luck making your way towards the weekend. I'm sure the rest of it will go fine. And just know that when you hit Friday night, I'll be here waiting for you. So we do these live shows every Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Watch it wherever you're watching now. Please feel free. Go to the Discord, as Sheldon put the link in the chat, to become a part of our Discord community, because on Saturday's show, we do the question of the week, which is a Discord question. Featured, thanks to our wonderful friend, Mr. Chucky Danger. So, yeah, we got a lot of stuff to check out. If you want to help support the show, check out the gear. This isn't one of them. This is Tony Merkel's. I'm wearing Merkel's gear tonight. So I got this from last Phenomicon where Tony was. But my gear, the link is in the description below. So check it out. Head over there, check it out. I think it's in there. I might have to check. It might be an old link. If it's Dashery, Dashery, I think it's paranormalportal.dashery.com. If that's not the link you see, ignore the link that's below. It might be the old one. I just thought about that. I don't know if I ever updated that. Anyway, I will. I'll definitely update it, but certainly look for that. That's all we got. So I can't think of anything else I got to tell you. So hope you guys have a great rest of your week. Thank you so much for coming in. And remember, we love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day, and remember to laugh as much as you can. We'll be back on Friday night. Sheldon should be with me. If he's not, then he's grounded. I'm just saying. Hope you're feeling better, buddy. I'm sorry you got sick, but yeah, let me know. Let me know before Friday. All right, good night, everybody. That's it. I'm calling it quits for the night. See you Friday. Take care, everybody.